Sani, TAV has enjoyed tremendous growth over the last 2 years. I mean, you've added on average one airport to your portfolio every year. Now, in this business, that's a real achievement. What are the key elements that you put this success down to?
You know, this is strategy. But to write your strategy, you have to put your targets in a right way. Now, in 2000, when we started this business, first we understood that this business is going to grow like hell. So we decided to grow in this business. Project management means to finalize the job on time, within the budget, and within the required quality. But in airport business, since you are going to operate it, so you have to sustain for future businesses. It's not enough to do the project on time, within the budget, or with the required quality. You must open windows of opportunity for future processes. That was our target. In 2000, when we started to operate Istanbul Airport, I told to my team that in 10 years' time, we are going to operate 10 airports. This was a target. Then we put on the strategy, but libraries of strategy does not mean anything if you cannot execute it. So the key element is execution. We worked very hard. We did the right things. It is very, very important for us. And we work like hell. The execution is the key element on our success in achieving this. But I may say another key elements like the structure of the company. I mean, when we entered the business, we understood that the duty-free is very important, food and beverage is very important, IT is very important. Now here you see our IT company, we are a security company. Some we outsourced, but we mainly co-sourced, not insourced.
We'll get on to the business models a little bit later on,
okay.
but it's very, very interesting in terms of not only how you've delivered against your strategy, but also the way you've actually structured the different businesses. As I said, you don't just own and operate airports, there are a number of other strings to your bow. Each, as we said earlier, with a different business model. TAV Construction, for example, is one of the world's 3 leading construction companies. Just walk us briefly through the total company offer.
Since we entered this business through a PPP, public-private partnership, first investing, and investing means construction, okay? So we needed an airport construction company. That actually TAV Construction is a spin-off of TAV Airports. So we wanted to continue our construction ability. This helps us a lot in bidding the tenders because CapEx prediction is very, very important in a private station project. So without a construction company, it is very easy for us to predict the CapEx. And if you get the job, to do the job with a sister company is much more easier than outsourcing it. So we give a lot of importance to TAV Construction. But later we saw that TAV Construction is so big that our jobs, TAV Airport's job, is not sufficient for them to grow. So they started to enter EPC contracts, like in Qatar, in Oman, in Abu Dhabi. So they have won the tenders of large airport construction. And now they are number 3 in the world, according to ENR rankings, in airport construction. I'm very proud of TAV Construction.
What proportion of your total business does it represent, the construction company, in terms of the turnover? What percentage?
Actually, the airport turnover, 40%. 40% comes from TAV Construction.
Just going back to your airport interest, now, as we all know, yours was not the winning bid when it came to the latest Istanbul Airport tender. That, in fact, went to a local consortium who paid an extremely high price for the privilege. The question is, with Ataturk likely to be closed within the next 5 years, it's still the jewel in your crown. Just how are you going to fill the void in the period in between?
Now, actually, first I would like to talk a little bit about the tender because our our staff questioned us, challenged us. Our investors challenged us. But when they see the numbers, they understood that they congratulated us because investing 10 billion euro to an airport and then paying 1 billion euro every year for a concession fee is not we have seen around. We haven't seen that.
It would make the prices on airport very expensive.
Exactly.
Duty for everything would go
Everything
up. It
would
would cost the customer.
So we do not believe in that prices. That's why we walked away. And I mean, I wish success to the group of companies, but I have the right to tell to you why we walked away, because it is very, very expensive. With that, with half of that amount, we can get an equivalent airport anywhere else in the world. This is the first thing. So this shows that we are a responsible management, okay, which take care of the investments of our investors. Secondly, you're right, we have to replace that EBITDA. How we can replace it? Either we make some acquisitions or we enter to the PPPs around the world. Now we had a region which we call around Turkey because of geographical proximity, cultural commonality. We mainly go to that region. But now we are expanding our region. Okay. North America, Latin America, Africa, and Southeast Asia became our new regions in our strategic model. So we will continue to grow, and we have 7 years time. I do not think that the new consortium will be able to build it before 7 years. So
one airport for each year, each of those 7 years?
Yeah. No, it's too much. It's too much. But we will be able to definitely replace Istanbul EBITDA with a new airport, or with adding some new tenders to our service companies, like our IT company. They are getting a lot of tenders in Saudi Arabia. Our duty-free company and ground handling company are entering Saudi Arabia and to Europe as well. So we have a large spectrum that we can do. I mean, we positioned ourselves accordingly. This suits to our business model. So we lost something, we can replace it very easily.
The business model is interesting because though, of course, you've got the holding company, you have participatory interests, 50% shareholding in some of the subdivisions. This must give you, and within those subdivisions, you too have outside partners. It's a very different business model from just about any other airport company.
Totally different. Actually, we always say this. I mean, it's a unique model. Why we went to this model? I mean, there's a diversification, but all in airports. I mean, we are duty-free. We are doing duty-free or retail in airports, food and beverage in airports, IT in airports, okay, security in airports, okay, construction even in airports. So there is diversification, but through airport business there is integration. So it is easy to use the advantage of economies of scale, and it is easy to use the advantage of economies of scope. Okay. So through economies of scope and scale, we are able to enhance the revenue and to reduce the cost. But it is tough. It's a matrix type organization actually. Now it's a holding company, but holding company holds the majority in all the companies. Okay? So, for example, I am in the board of all the companies. My general managers are in the board of different companies. So there is a huge connectivity. We have a motto in TAV. We say that connectivity is productivity. So we are connected. So this connectivity is really increasing our productivity and increasing our revenue at the same time.
Scope and scale in two interesting adjectives, because certainly with the advent of ADPI's stakeholding in you as a business, that must give you much greater leverage within the business, knowing that you have the full backing of their resources. So just how important has ADPI's stakeholding been to TAV since they bought an interest in the company?
They are hands-on, I may say, okay, but since they are an industry partner, I mean, we know each other, we speak the same language, while our shareholders, founding shareholders, were selling their shares to them. I told them that I do not want a financial investor here, and I do not want even a strategic partner. I want an industry partner, okay? So it was really good for me as a CEO to have an industry partner on board. They brought in the data of 200 million passengers. They brought in the data of another 25 airports. So in our business, data is everything. We are data mining. We use data facilities. So they gave us this. The physical asset, the transaction amount went to our founding shareholders. Okay. Nothing came to TAV. But what came to TAV? Social asset, the networking of our French partners, and the intellectual asset of our French partners. And for the new tenders, as you said, the resources, the financial resources is very important at the same time. That is why we got this decision and we put it onto our strategy to expand our region, because now we have a reliable partner who are partners in America, in Latin America, in Africa especially, in Southeast Asia.
So what about China? I mean, isn't that on the shopping list?
No, China is not a target, because in China there are huge construction companies. Everything is huge there. Okay, I mean, I do not think that we will add value to China, and I do not think that China will add value to us. I mean, in partnership, 1 + 1 must equal to 3 or 4 to be partners. I mean, in China, it's only 2 for us. Okay? So it is maybe Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia. These are going to be the targets, because they need us, we need them.
Well, you can certainly extract value from those areas, and as you've done already in North Africa, in Georgia, Macedonia, outside of just being, as you said earlier, not completely near and Middle East centric. Sure. You've expanded your borders. You're a very ambitious man and a very ambitious company.
We have to. We are a company of emerging market. Emerging market companies do not have the luxury to be complacent. We have to have a sense of urgency, and we have to work very hard.
The business itself is becoming polarized. You've got 3 or 4 major players that are in there, in the hunt, every time, whenever a new tender comes up. So it is a competitive market.
Exactly.
And an increasingly expensive market too.
Exactly, but the limited competition was very important. For example, in third airport Istanbul case, construction companies who has got nothing to do with the airport has got pre-qualification. It was a mistake. In my understanding, it was a mistake. But we cannot say it because it's a decision. We have to obey.
I want to come back to Istanbul, where earlier this year you launched the TAV Academy. Now, what precisely is its purpose?
Now, its purpose is clearly training our personnel, employees, and training the young generation of Turkey, especially who are in the aviation faculties in Turkey. We have very good connection with the 4 or 5 aviation faculties in Turkey. They are getting our training in TAV Academy, and recently we made a JV agreement, joint venture agreement, with the company from Lebanon, Aviation Mines. Now we established a new company, TAV Aviation Mines. Together with this company, we are training our personnel in Medina, and we will start to train all Saudi, Middle East or African countries, civil aviation personnel, especially in airport operations.
Because of course you won Terminal 5 in Saudi recently. When's that going to be coming up?
We have signed. Our project manager and his team arrived there, so we will start soon.
It's all looking good for the future, and of course next year, well, you've already started in Monastir, but next year what else comes online? Medina comes online. This year or next?
Next year Medina will come online. And hopefully we get another one next year, and then the other year it will come.
So you must still make one per year.
Yeah.
Sani, Sener, thank you so much for your time. Pleasure.
Thank you very much, Peter. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers.